What would happen if world-class powerlifters decided to deadlift like strongmen? How much more could they pull? Well, in this video, I'm going to try and answer that question by looking at 7 top-level powerlifters who have deadlifted in strongman competition under strongman rules. And we're looking at what their best ever deadlift is in powerlifting versus in strongman. I also have a bonus at the end where I'm going to be looking at an extremely popular powerlifter who has done a strongman style deadlift in training, even though he never officially competed in it, because I think that's a pretty interesting comparison as well. Okay, first of all, the credits for this video inspiration goes to Liam_Bridgham and Giraki3117, who suggested I make this video. This is actually the inverse of a previous video I'd made, which is strongmen trying to deadlift like powerlifters. And it was actually in that video these two suggestions came about. Now, in that video, I actually do go through the exact differences between strongmen and powerlifting deadlifts. So if you haven't seen it, go check that out, because I'm not going to repeat that in this video. I'm going to go straight into the lifts. One final thing though, I have heard all of your suggestions that everyone wants to see actual video clips in my videos, not just screenshots of the lifts. And I've been looking into it, and I'm attempting to do that in this video, and it should be good. I think we'll be good. But if I get banned or something, then I'm blaming it on you guys. But no, it should be fine. So yes, there are video clips in this video. So getting straight into it, John Haack. Now we all know John Haack. His best ever pull is 426 kilos in powerlifting competition, which he did in 2024. And quite a grind, as you can see there, but he does get it successfully. He totaled 1043.5 on that day. And in strongman, his best ever pull is 318 kilos for 9 repetitions on an axle bar. So that's 700 pounds for 9 reps. And again, axle bar makes a pretty big difference compared to a normal powerlifting bar. And you can see the first few reps are moving insanely smooth. This was at 2024 under 90 World's Strongest Man. We're actually finished in 6th place, but needless to say, he won this deadlift event, and he won by quite a bit. I think 2nd place had 7 reps, and everyone else had 6 or less. You can see the reps kind of slowing down there, but I mean, and again, this is raw with straps. This is no suit as well. So to think what he could have done on a normal bar and what he could have done with a suit as well, I'll be very curious to see how much more he could pull. You can see that doesn't quite get the 10th rep. Number 6 is Luke Richardson, whose best ever deadlift in powerlifting competition is 385 kilos that he did at 2018 European Powerlifting Championships. Very, very smooth rep, you can see there. He ended up winning that title, totaling 1010.5, beating fellow future strongman Pavlo Nakonechnyy on bodyweight, which he will be on this list as well, spoiler alert. But his best ever strongman deadlift is 360 kilos for 5 reps on an axle bar. This was done at 2024 Giants Live World Tour Finals, where he finished in 3rd place behind Mitchell Hooper and Trey Mitchell. So his first 2 reps were very smooth, slight misgroove on the 3rd, had to reset a bit. But yeah, Luke Richardson is someone who he's pulled a lot more in training, and unfortunately his strongman career since he switched over from powerlifting in 2019 has been plagued with injuries. So his best ever deadlifts in training have been a 425 kilo deadlift for a double with a suit and straps on a normal bar, 410 for a triple also on a standard bar, and he's actually pulled 400 for a triple on an axle before as well. And you can see that he managed 5 reps with 360 on the axle. I mean, only including obviously competition lifts in this, apart from my bonus lifter at the end who hasn't done competition, so I'm looking at his training footage. But if I did take Luke Richardson's training lifts, he would be right up on this list. But next up is Mark Henry, an OG who a lot of people know more so for his wrestling background, but he deadlifted over 900 pounds, 410 kilos, all the way back in 1995, and this was done raw, by the way. He did this raw with wraps in a meet where he actually totaled 1,050, which was a monster total for back in 1995. Now, strongman, he only ever did one strongman competition, and that was the 2002 Arnold Strongman Classic, the inaugural Arnold's, where he pulled 401 kilos for a double. and he ended up winning. That was his first and only strongman competition. He went out on a win, the inaugural Arnold's, and unfortunately, I could not find any footage of this. I tried finding footage. Trust me, I looked everywhere, and that was my expression when I couldn't find anything. But 401 for a double, I have no idea how maximal that was. It was a max deadlift event up until 401 kilos was the heaviest, and you just repped it out at that point. He won the competition. He actually finished second in the deadlift. It was only him and one other person who managed to lift the 401 kilo deadlift at all. And the person that actually beat him hit 401 for a triple. And that person is actually the next guy on this list. And that is another old school legend, Andy Bolton. Andy Bolton is someone that doesn't get as much respect as he deserves, because he was the first man ever to deadlift 1,000 pounds, which he did back in 2006. And his best ever deadlift was 457.5, which you can see here. Now, this was done in a multiply competition in 2009, where it was technically done in a full meet because he took a token 100 kilo squat and bench. But I mean, he'd pulled like 440 plus in proper full meets where he's totaled like 1,200 kilos plus. Absolutely insane. The other insane thing is he was 39 years old at this point in time, which is crazy. But the other crazy thing that I find about this is the competition he actually did this in was called the Southeast Qualifier and Novice Bash. Now, the fact that he deadlifted 1,000 pounds in a competition that had the word novice in it, I found hilarious. But his best ever deadlift in strongman competition is 420 kilos that he did at the 2015 World Deadlift Championships, at which point he was 45 years old already. And that's the thing with Andy Bolton is, you know, his peak was earlier in powerlifting, and he only ever came across to do strongman. Obviously, he was at the Arnold's in 2002, but he came across to do deadlifts in strongman later on, 2014-15, when he was at the World Deadlift Championships. And he was already in his mid-40s by then. So definitely past his prime, but that 420 still moved, as you could see there, very smoothly. Next up is Jamal Browner, who was on the my previous video where I talked about powerlifters deadlifting like strongman. But he's pulled 460 kilos in competition, which you can see there. And that was done at, or in 2024, where he totaled 1,012.5. He actually missed 470 kilos after this. He famously pulled 500 kilos in the gym a few years ago, which is what you saw in the thumbnail. I didn't include that video because, again, I'm looking more so at training lifts. Also, sumo with straps is an illegal lift in any sort of competition. But his best ever deadlift famously in strongman was at 430 kilos when he decided to compete at the 2023 World Deadlift Championships, and he hit that extremely smooth 430. Looking at that, you would think he had way more in the tank. He probably did. He missed 455 after this though, and that's again that image on the thumbnail you saw. He got it to below his knees and unfortunately no further. But I believe he's pulled 500 sumo with straps in the gym. I believe he's pulled 1,000 pounds conventional with straps as well in the gym. And I also think he was raw for this, not even in a suit. He was just in straps. So probably someone who, without a doubt, could have pulled over 1,000 pounds had he, I guess, trained more for this style of deadlift. Okay, next up is someone who not a lot of people will know about. There's quite a few underrated old school lifters on this. Vlad Alhazov. Now, Vlad Alhazov, before I get into his deadlifts, which, spoiler alert, there you can see 419.5, he's best known for being the greatest squatter of all time. So he holds a squat world record raw with wraps. He was the first person ever to squat 500 kilos, which he did in a meet in 2017. And by the way, he was 39 years old in that meet. What is this with 39 years old and hitting crazy strength feats with him and Andy Bolton? But he was 39 years old, squatted 500 kilos raw with wraps. That was in a full meet where he totaled 1,115 kilos, which was at the time one of the heaviest totals ever. I think Andrei Malinichev had the record at 1140 at the time. So it was like 25 kilos off the heaviest raw with wraps total ever. He hit 505 in a full power meet in 2018 with his raw with wrap squat. However, unfortunately, he bombed out on deadlift, so it didn't technically count as a full power meet squat record because he didn't register a deadlift, which kind of sucked. But he then hit 525 in 2018 in a squat only event, raw with wraps, which stands today as still the heaviest squat ever done. And to this day, only been a very small amount. I think there's only been 1 or 2 other people have ever squatted 500 raw with wraps in competition or in training. So Vlad Alhazov is best known for his squat. However, he also had a monster deadlift back in the day. And when I say back in the day, I mean back in the day. I had to dig through the archives deep to find this video, by the way. But here he is. This is in 2008, so quite a long time ago. 2008, where he deadlifted 419.5. This was on multiply, and this was also done in a full power meet, where, by the way, he totaled 1,272.3 kilos, which is kind of crazy. His biggest deadlift ever was that he did raw was 400 kilos, but this was back in his multiply days. And if you go to a strongman style deadlift, he pulled 442.5, 976 pounds at the 2017 Eisenhart Challenge, which I'm not entirely sure. Actually, this doesn't count officially in competition. It's one of those like in between training / comp lifts, because the Eisenhart isn't officially recognized as a powerlifting or strongman competition. It's more like an exhibition. But I included it in this video just because honestly I wanted to. But you can see that he pulled that pretty easily, and that was again raw with straps, but he didn't wear a suit, so that wasn't an equipped pull. Could he have pulled 1,000 pounds with a suit and straps? Potentially. One last thing about Vlad Alhazov is, he, like I said, used to be a multiply lifter back in the day. Then I think he had to have a double knee replacement, and then he came back raw and hit those crazy 500 plus kilo squats and these crazy 442.5 deadlifts. So the bionic knees, maybe that was a secret. But number 1 on the list for the heaviest ever strongman deadlift done by a powerlifter is Pavlo Nakonechnyy, who pulled 390 kilos with shocking ease back in 2019. The most he ever did, this was when he already made the transition to the dark side. I could have included him in my actual Powerlifters Turn to the Dark Side video in hindsight now, but his best pull in the IPF was 385 at the 2018 Euros, where he went head-to-head with Richardson and lost on body weight, even though he totaled the same. But he pulled 390 very easily in 2019 when it was already enhanced, and he attempted 415 after this. However, he missed it by tearing his bicep, which I'm absolutely not going to show video of. You can look it up yourself if you want. You've been warned. But he actually totaled 1,070 in that meet, and he missed a squat on depth that looked very clean to me, so that would have been 30 plus kilos. Plus, he obviously went for this 25 kilo plus pull, which he probably would have got if he went for his bicep tearing. So he was pacing for well over 1,100 kilos, but that was his last ever powerlifting comp that he did in 2019. Now, his best ever strongman deadlift is 1,000 pounds that he did at the 2021 World Deadlift Championships. And he actually came equal first. I think there were like 6 other people. Oh, no, he didn't come equal first. Someone else pulled. I think even Makarov pulled 470. But there were like 6 other people that pulled 1,000 pounds here. You can see how smooth and easy that was, and how scary he looked when he stood up with it. He actually attempted 505 and missed it. He barely budged off the floor and then not much further. That was a very strong 1,000 pound pull from Pavlo in 2021. Unfortunately, similar to his ex-powerlifting rival in the IPF, Luke Richardson, he's been plagued by injuries recently. Hopefully he comes back stronger than ever, because he has pulled, I believe leading into this, he pulled 475 kilos in training, and that looked quite smooth. So he's someone who could still take a run at that 505 kilo deadlift, in my opinion. But okay, now it's time for the bonus. We've gone through the 7 powerlifters who have registered an official strongman deadlifting competition. Now the bonus that I promised for the most popular powerlifter arguably ever, Larry Wheels, who didn't do an official strongman deadlift in any competition. However, he did some in training, and pretty interesting to see. So Larry Wheels' best ever deadlift in a powerlifting competition was 400 kilos, which he did at the 2018 Kern US Open, on his way to totaling 1,040 kilos at 125 kilos body weight. Pretty crazy that nowadays Rondell actually out-totaled this at 120 as a natural. Pretty insane how far the sport's come. You can see 400 kilos pretty smooth there. He's pulled in training his best numbers in a powerlifting style deadlift. He's pulled 410 kilos, 900 pounds. He's attempted 420 kilos, but he's missed it on grip towards lockout. But strongman style, a couple years back, he was building towards deadlifting 1,000 pounds with a strongman style deadlift, and he hit some pretty crazy numbers in training. His craziest was this 422 kilo or 930 pound deadlift triple. And this is full on strongman style. You can see he has straps, he's wearing a suit, he's hitching it at lockout. But that was a crazy, crazy deadlift. And this was done in 2022 when, like I said, he was building up to 1,000 pound deadlift. Unfortunately, he got injured before he could get there, and he kind of abandoned that and, you know, transitioned to other things. But so yeah, we never actually saw him peak and attempt 1,000 pound deadlift. Based on this, without a doubt, I think he could have got it. His best ever deadlift, regardless of reps, just pure weight, he did 425 with straps. I think that was even a few years before this, like 2020 or 2021 region. And that was without even a suit. However, this I think is his strongest ever set, 422 kilos for 930 pounds. And yeah, without a doubt, he would have been good for 1,000 pounds had he managed to get to his peak without being injured. But there you go. Those are the comparisons between strongmen powerlifters who have attempted to deadlift like strongmen.